Welcome in, everyone. This is the first episode of your new favorite fantasy football show. Isaac Durham here alongside the Analogy King himself, Tarian Rogers. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, bro. How are you doing?
Good.
Let's get the drafting, man.
Yeah, we got a mock draft for you guys today. Obviously, fantasy football is a big talking point right now in the sports world. Clayton Halford is the other piece of the puzzle on our team here. He is off air right now, but he's going to join us in the mock draft. And we are the fantasy GMs. We will be on every Tuesday around the same time right now, and we will be on all podcast platforms soon. All right, Tarian, are you ready to mock draft?
I'm ready, man. Been waiting for this all week.
All right, let's get it started. So, guys, Clayton will have the 101 here. Tarian will start 5th, and then I will have the 10th pick. And right off the bat, McCaffrey.
Is that even shocking with Clayton? That's Derry Sanders right there, man.
Derry Sanders. What's his saying?
For me, that's his saying, Derry Sanders.
What's the other one, though?
Death and taxes. Boy, death and taxes. We got to get that made. So here's the thing. I'm at pick number 5. Yep. Death and taxes, Christian McCaffrey scoring 20 points.
There it is.
Wouldn't be a Clayton saying. But see, I'm at an interesting position, right? I have number 5. I could go Nick Chubb. Mm-hmm. I could go Saquon Barkley. I could go, Jonathan Taylor. I could go Ezekiel Elliott. See, the thing is, with normally you would go Saquon Barkley, right? But what is his health history? Do you have any idea? I went Chubb for the sakes and purposes right now. I just went Chubb.
Chubb.
Let's talk about Barkley.
Even though in a full PPR, you're going to go Chubb, huh?
Yeah.
He doesn't catch a lot of passes out of the backfield.
He's a beast in the fourth quarter, though. You know what I'm saying? So
he's a beast.
He leads the league in rushing in fourth quarter.
If you take away receiving entirely and you just go full rushing abilities, he might be the second best running back in the league behind Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
As far as dominance goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and you got to go with the consistency of the fourth quarter, and even so, it is kind of a type of pick when you have Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt might dip into some of his share, but I still think it's a solid pick, outside of just the consistency of him getting it done. He averaged 100 some yards when he plays, so that's consistency.
Yeah, he's definitely dominant on the ground for sure. So after Chubb went Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Zeke, and then Travis Kelce at the 109. So a tight end going into the first round, a big talking point this offseason. When do you draft Travis Kelce? I don't think that's a bad spot. I think at 10, I would have took him if he came to me. So now I have some good options still. Aaron Jones, Eckler's interesting as far as PPR-wise goes. Tyreek Hill, great receiver, but I'm going to go with the wide receiver who finished first overall amongst all wide receivers in fantasy last year. He outproduced Tyreek Hill by 30 PPR points, and he played in just 14 games. Mr. Devonte Adams, returning his starting quarterback after all that drama this offseason with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm confident with him at the 10th pick. And then right after that went Hill, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, and then Patty Mahomes at 2-2. So now I'm back on the clock. I just mentioned him in a PPR league. I love him. If this was standard, even half PPR, I probably wouldn't go him. I wouldn't go Eckler here, but I'm going Eckler. He catches a lot of passes out of the backfield. As far as pass catchers go in that offense, for the Chargers, Justin Herbert's going to target Keenan Allen a lot. And, who else? He lost Hunter Henry. Mike Williams is hurt. So Eckler's going to step up. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be a solid option for the whole year.
So just for PPR purposes, I'm up next. I'm really big on rookie running backs. I love this class of rookie running backs this year. I think there's a bunch of guys that are solid in the PPR format. The best I'm about to pick right now, Najee Harris. But if we're going to talk about rookie running backs, you have him. You have Javonte Williams. You have Michael Carter from the Jets. A guy that I really, really love is Trey Sermon for the 49ers. I think with Kyle Shanahan, the Shanahans, they have a thing about pushing out 1,000-yard running backs. They just always do. They're a machine down there, with that run block scheme. So, for this draft, I went Najee Harris, but the rookie running back class I love.
Yeah, and he's going to get a ton of work with, the running backs behind him are, The offensive line needs a little bit of work, but they drafted him for a reason. They wanted him the whole time. So that's a solid pick, pairing up with Chubb right away. And then Clayton.
No pressure, Clayton.
Yeah, Clayton went with Kittle, the last pick of the second round. So he went McCaffrey, Kittle, and we're waiting on him right now for the 301. So he went running back, tight end. What would you do here, Tarian, if you're Clayton?
So he just went George Kittle. Normally, I would, in this position, I go Darren Waller, and it's not Raider bias in any way. It's just that hopefully, that's my pick right now. So, yep, I just spoke into existence. I'm picking Darren Waller. And I think the reason why I'm picking Darren Waller is he's not just the Raiders' number one tight end, but he's the Raiders' number one wide receiver in general.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we're a team that struggles on the goal line, so he's going to get a lot of red zone targets. He's going to get a lot of targets in general. He's not used as a prototypical tight end. I like Kyle Pitts here. I like Darren Waller here, but TJ Hawkinson is a guy I really like too. But
yeah, a little early for him, but yeah.
But it's a little early for him, but Waller to me is the next logical pick.
Yeah, I like it. I like Waller a little bit more than Kittle this year, but simply because of what you just said. He's their top wide receiver. Kittle is a monster. We all know that, but Brandon Ayuk is in that offense. Deebo Samuel's in that offense. They're going to demand targets, and you already mentioned they're a run-heavy team. They're a run-heavy team, and they have a plethora of running backs outside of Trey Sermon as well. So I'm back on the clock. So it's the 10th pick in the third round. I already have Devonte Adams and Austin Eckler on my team. I typically like drafting a couple running backs in the first, 3 or 4 rounds. So I'm going to go another running back here, and I'm going to go with the guy who plays for my team, the Chicago Bears, but I don't really understand why he's slipping to the end of third rounds, early fourth, David Montgomery. He had a tough rookie season. Rookies tend to do that. And then for the first half of last year, the Bears were so focused on, are we going to, is Trubisky going to be our guy, or is Foles going to be our guy? So there wasn't a lot of emphasis on the run game. There was even a game where, Montgomery had like 7 carries in week 6, and Nagy was just getting blasted post-game interviews. Why aren't you running the ball more? And then we saw it at the end of the year. Montgomery went nuts. He had 6 weeks in a row with over 18 PPR points. He was the running back 1 during the last 5 weeks of the regular season. He was just simply dominant. And Nagy has already stated that he deserves 20 carries a game, and that's going to be their goal throughout the whole season. And I believe that, especially with the quarterback situation going on with that team. So now I'm back on the clock, 4th round here. I have 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver. I don't like going quarterback too early.
Me neither. So when would you say the prototypical time to go quarterback?
I mean, I've been mocking 6 or later, unless, Kyler Murray or Lamar going to the 5th. I don't like taking them in the 4th, even though it wouldn't be bad. Like, they're not bad picks in the 4th round by any means. I just I don't know. I like my running backs more, and I like some of those top receivers a little bit more too. I'm kind of running out of time here. Man, I'm stuck. I'm gonna go Chris Godwin. I'm gonna tag him up with Devonte Adams. Don't feel super confident in it, but I have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers that could put up a lot of numbers this season.
For real. So I'm on the clock. I went 2 running backs, tight end. I need a wide receiver. Now, this is the regular time where a lot of Cowboys receivers are starting to come off the clock a little bit. I have CeeDee Lamb available. Amari just went off. I don't know how I feel about Cowboys receivers. I think they're going to do well, but I'm just not sure about the quarterback situation with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that just not being reported, and I love it. But then now I have, Ram territory, right? Do you go Cooper Kupp? Do you go Robert Woods? They're in a high, volume offense now with Sean McVay. They got Matthew Stafford, and they felt like Jared Goff was an issue. We know Matthew Stafford is a guy that can roll out of bed, throw 5,000, 4,000 yards. I like a guy like Cooper Kupp. And the reason why I like Cooper Kupp and why I'm going to pick Cooper Kupp, they lost their running back, earlier in the offseason. And he's a guy that catches a lot of bubble screens. And in the PPR format, he's a guy that's going to get a lot of yardage. Robert, same thing with Robert Woods. Sean McVay has an innovative way of using his receivers and reverses and running situations as well. So they're going to get volume as receivers and as running backs as well. That's just how Sean McVay rolls.
Yep.
So
that's not a bad pick. I always think back to that week where he had it was like 17 targets, 12 catches, and it was a lot of bubble screens. But in a PPR league, I mean, those are points right there. So I agree. That's a good call. Yeah,
exactly. So it's my pick again. Damn, this goes fast.
Yeah, okay, real quick. Clayton picked James Robinson and Robert Woods. James Robinson, fantasy stock skyrocketing right now with ETN. ETN out for the year.
I want to know your opinion on that after I make my pick. So I think right now this is a territory where I'm going to go quarterback because I got Justin Herbert available. I got Robert Wilson. I was going to say Robert Wilson. Russell Wilson available. Again, Dak. I don't really trust Dak at this point.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Brady. I think Justin Herbert is going to have an MVP like year. I have this feeling. I think he's going to have an MVP type year. I think that the curve of a rookie, right? You want to when you have a new coach, you want to keep his offensive coordinators, offensive staff around him. And I think the Chargers did a very good job of keeping his coordinators around him. He has guys that he's used to. Keenan Allen, he's very underrated. Mike Williams. You know, you mentioned Austin Eckler earlier. He has the Jarrett Cook as an underrated signing as a tight end. Mm-hmm. He has the weapons around him, and he's going to take that leap in year two. So I went Justin Herbert, and I do think that he could be in an MVP race, and it wouldn't shock me.
Bold decision, but I don't think it's a bad one, especially in the middle of the 5th round. So I have 2 receivers, 2 running backs, and I need a tight end. I need a quarterback. I've already missed out on the elite tight ends, Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Andrews, Pitts, and even Hawkinson. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer on that. And I'm going to wait just a little bit longer in quarterback too. I could go Dak, but I like a running back, Myles Gaskin here. He is a PPR machine. In a standard league, I probably wouldn't take him this high. But he was the lead back for Miami last year. There's a lot of talk saying, Malcolm Brown could be the guy over him as far as, rushing carries go. I don't care if they split carries. Gaskin is a great receiver out of the backfield. Tua Tagovailoa is unproven at this point, and he's going to have a lot of check down passes. We saw it last year. He's not all the way there. Maybe he does improve, but as my running back 3, I'm happy with Gaskin here.
Solid pick, very solid pick.
Man, and then my plan was to get Aaron Rodgers on the turn, but Team 12 went ahead and snagged him the first pick of the 6th round.
So quarterback choice, Ryan Tannehill. How do you feel about Tannehill?
I like Tannehill. I'm not drafting him 6th round though. I've been mocking him in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. I got him in the 9th once. Like you said, I don't trust Dak Prescott, so I don't feel like waiting too long on a tight end, though, so I'm going to go Noah Fant here. I think 6th round is decent value for him. And, he's getting a lot of talk about, kind of negative talk surrounding him. But honestly, he's been pretty solid so far as a pro, and it takes a little bit of time. So this could be the year that he steps up, and I'm confident he can.
So it's my pick, and an interesting pick was just made, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And Michael Thomas is usually a guy that goes high, but his situation with the Saints, we don't know what it is. Quarterback situation, his health situation, does he like the team or not? Yeah. So that's he's been going, within the 7th, 8th rounds. But I'm in a position right now where I need a receiver. I have Odell Beckham available. His injury history kind of scares me a little bit. Devonte Smith is a guy I like a lot from the Eagles. Juju Smith-Schuster. I got Chase Claypool. I don't like DJ Chark at all. I'm staying away from Jaguars.
I have him on my top 5 wide receivers to avoid this season.
Yeah, I don't like him at all.
I think Marvin Jones takes over as the X wide receiver on that team.
Jerry Jeudy, Courtney Sutton, I'm not sure about. Jalen Waddell, I'm not sure about. Deebo Samuel. Yeah. Robbie Anderson, I'm very high on Robbie Anderson.
So am I. He is my guy.
I love Robbie Anderson.
I've never seen so much hate on a wide receiver who finished with over 1,000 yards.
So I'm going to go Smith from the Eagles, but I'm going but I love Robbie Anderson because Robbie Anderson finally is in a position where he has a quarterback that he's used to.
Yeah.
He's an offense that he's used to, and he just got paid today. He got a contract.
He got extended today. Curtis Samuel is no longer on the team. They brought in Terrace Marshall, but I don't know. I mean, he looks good in the preseason, but it's not like he's not Curtis Samuel. He's not going to demand a lot of screens and rushing attempts. So I like Robbie Anderson a lot too.
And he quietly gets 1,000 yards every year.
Very
quietly every year, 1,000 yards. Damn, it's my pick again. Okay, so went receiver. So I have 2 running backs, tight end. So right now, I'm just gonna go depth. I'm gonna go, with some running backs, and this is where this is rookie running back territory for me. So out of all the running backs available, I got Gordon from the Broncos. I got Leonard Fournette, Robbie Anderson, my guy Trey Sermon. Picking Trey Sermon right here.
Nice.
Off the simple fact that, like I said earlier with the 49ers, I love Kyle Shanahan running backs. I always will. And I don't trust Raheem Mostert's health neither. He's never been healthy 100%.
No.
So I love Sermon.
He's like 28 years old now.
Yeah. So, and Trey Sermon was a beast in Ohio State. Like he's coming in NFL hot.
Yeah. Honestly, in my opinion, I think Sermon will take over at some point this season. I think it's going to be like a Cam Akers rookie year where he's not the guy. Everyone knows he's going to be the guy. And then when it comes, week 8, week 9, something like that, he's going to take over and he's going to light the fantasy world on fire. Okay, so I still don't have a quarterback. It's the 7th round. Call me crazy. I'm still not going to pick a quarterback. I'm going to go with the guy that you had already talked about a couple times, Robbie Anderson here. That's my wide receiver 3. And then now it's the 3rd pick in the 8th round. I'm going to go with the guy that you mentioned earlier as well. I need a quarterback. I waited this long. I'm going to select the guy who finished as the quarterback 7 last season, still being mocked in the 8th round or later, Ryan Tannehill.
Solid pick. See, you could always wait to get a quarterback. I'm telling. I tried to tell Clayton this earlier. You can always wait to get a quarterback. There's always going to be a guy that's undervalued every year as a quarterback.
And look at Clayton. He hasn't taken a quarterback yet.
Right.
He's got McCaffrey, Kittle, Allen, Robinson, Woods, Davis, and Chase Claypool. So
since we're on the quarterback conversation, I'm going to go. Like I said, I'm trying to aim for depth. So I see a guy. I'm thinking about it, but no, I'm not going to do it because I already got a quarterback. So I think I'm going to go wide receiver here. I'm in a dire. I just want to add depth at this point, and I'm adding for depth.
Let's see if you pick the guy I think you're going to pick.
You're thinking I'm going to pick Henry Ruggs?
No.
You're thinking I'm going to pick Henry Ruggs, huh?
No.
But
I do not think that.
Laviska Shenault.
I knew. Yep. I should have said it.
Here's why I'm high on Laviska Shenault. And I wasn't going to pick him, but I think I might pick him just for purposes of having a conversation about Laviska Shenault.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Laviska Shenault for the simple fact that we talked about earlier, Travis Etienne going down. And we know from history of Urban Meyer that he loves these type of gadget players. He had it at Ohio State with Braxton Miller, Percy Harvin. You think of who their offensive coordinator is. His offensive coordinator was Percy Harvin's offensive coordinator on the Vikings and on the Seahawks. This is a guy that's going to be a gadget player, especially in PPR leagues.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Laviska Shenault.
No, that's a very solid pick. I would have chosen the same exact player at your spot. So Clayton went Singletary at the end of the 8th round. He has the first pick in the 9th round, so we're waiting on him there. After you drafted Shenault, went Kenyon Drake, Will Fuller, Antonio Brown, and I like Antonio Brown. He's kind of a my guy because you can get him so late. And I know there's concerns about all the weapons in that offense, but he played half the year, and I think he served as the wide receiver 31, something like that, which is not bad, especially as a potentially a 9th rounder. And then Clayton went Tyler Boyd right after that, then Connor, Jarvis Landry off the board, Gronk right before your pick at the 9:05.
And that was my pick. And I'm at the territory where I need a backup tight end. Robert Tonyan's available here, and I'm so low on Robert Tonyan this year.
Really? Even with Aaron Rodgers as
I don't like Robert Tonyan this year. And I think that he was a revelation last year, and we didn't know about him this year. Last year, we know about him this year. Yeah. And if you think about Packers tight ends normally, they're outside of the last time I really remembered them having a go-to tight end was Jermichael Finley.
Yep.
And that's about it. So I'm looking at a guy, Logan Thomas, from the Washington football team.
See, and I don't like Logan Thomas.
You don't like Logan Thomas? What's your – okay, so I have a tight end question. Would you tell me why you don't like Logan Thomas? How do you feel about Cole Kmet? You're a Bears fan. How do you feel about
I don't
Cole
like
Kmet,
him
too?
in a fantasy league. I like him
You
as
don't
a
like Cole
player.
Kmet?
I wouldn't draft him in a fantasy league. Cole Kmet, no. Especially with, old man Jimmy Graham over there hauling in all the touchdowns inside the 5. Cole Kmet was a really good check down target for, Trubisky when, Trubisky couldn't throw deep, so he just checked it down to Cole Kmet a lot. That's how I feel about Logan Thomas, though. I watched a lot of games last year where, all four quarterbacks that played on that team for Washington, check down, Logan Thomas. And, I mean, I don't think he's a bad tight end. I just don't think he's going to put up top 10 tight end numbers like everyone thinks he's going to this year.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I picked him as a backup, because, but then you got to take in consideration who his quarterback is. The old man, Fitz. And Fitz, if you're a target,
he's a gunslinger.
So he's going to throw up jump balls to this guy in the red zone.
Yeah.
He is. He does this.
I mean, that's true.
And this is why I think Terry McLaurin's going to have a big year as well, because he's a gunslinger.
So I went Zach Moss at the 9-10. He is a guy that, I'm not totally excited about, but at this point in the draft, we're drafting for depth. And he is a guy that could take over as the running back 1 for Buffalo over Devin Singletary. We saw flashes last year where he started to, then he would get hurt, and then Singletary would get the job back, but neither one of them impressed tremendously as far as fantasy goes. So, going into year 2, if he can stay healthy, he's not gonna catch a lot of passes. That's not really his role. So if Singletary goes to that third down back, and Moss gets all the the bruising inside the 5 carries, the touchdown opportunities, this pick could turn out.
And inside of Buffalo Bills training camp, they said he's the best running back so far in training camp. So they're very high on him. So yeah, agreed.
And then I'm gonna go here in the 10th round, a guy that I keep mocking in the 10th round. I have a rule. If you're the wide receiver 1 on your team, you shouldn't be going in the 10th round. And this guy got the bag. He's not really a receiver that should have, in my opinion, gotten a big paycheck. But the New York Jets brought in Corey Davis to be their top wide receiver for at least this season. Elijah Moore's on the team. Jamison Crowder's in the slot. But Davis is that big, X receiver who is already developing a great relationship with rookie Zach Wilson, and he's going to be there for, a few years. So I think that's a solid pick, wide receiver 5 for me in the 10th round.
So it's my pick, and I'm at that position now where I'm starting to look at the quarterback well. I'm starting to run dry a little bit. I'm looking at these quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield's available. That's going to be my pick, FYI. But Baker Mayfield, you have Justin Fields. I don't know. You're a Bears fan. How long are they going to wait to put him in? Deshaun Watson's not going to play this season, and I would not look at Deshaun Watson at all. Trey Lance, I don't know when he's going to play. Matt Ryan, I think he's going to go down a significant amount. Kirk Cousins is Tua. He's a guy that could have a big season, but I'm not sure. Fitz, we talked about earlier. Zach Wilson, I'm not high on Zach Wilson. Ben, I'm not high on Ben. I'm very high on Derek Carr. No bias, but I'm very high on Derek Carr.
I am too. I wouldn't take him in the 10th round.
I wouldn't take him in the 10th round. That's the thing.
But I like him as my backup for my team if I were to wait later on.
Daniel Jones.
No, I don't.
Wishy-washy. Carson Wentz health. Sam Darnold, no. Jameis. So this is why I'm picking quarterback. Just naming those quarterbacks. So I'm going Baker Mayfield because I think he's the best quarterback of all the remaining options that I could pick from.
And look who went right after him.
Justin Tucker.
We were just talking about before the show how people like taking kickers around the 10th round and defenses, and I think Tarian agrees. I don't like doing that. I like waiting my last 2 picks because I could add running backs and wide receivers, tight ends, backups that will help me in the long run. And let's say you have Tucker and the Ravens don't score any points this season, you're going to drop him even though he's Justin Tucker. You're going to get a guy that's scoring more than him.
Exactly. And then with defenses, you can match your defense each and every week because it's like, what happens if the Washington football team defense that just got picked now plays against the number 1 offense in the league? Yeah. You're going to feel really uncomfortable wasting a pick in the 10th round on a defense that you're just not 100% comfortable with.
Right.
And with my pick, I just went Nyheim Hines because we're in a PPR league and he's always, a PPR monster.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Nyheim Hines, clearly the third down back in Indianapolis's offense. he finished I can't remember what he finished exactly, but I think it was the running back 15 in PPR leagues last season, quietly. So that's a solid value pick in the 11th round for sure.
And another guy that was available that I was thinking about in this position was J.D. McKissick in PPR, just for PPR. I wouldn't do it standardly, but PPR J.D. McKissick is a guy.
So you're talking about the guy that I just drafted then? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, so I also like McKissick. There's a lot of talk saying, Antonio Gibson's going to be the every down back. They want him to be the Christian McCaffrey on the team. I agree he has the talent to do so, but I don't see Ron Rivera just totally kicking McKissick out of the offense because Antonio Gibson's good. If you have two good running backs, use both of them. This guy had over 80 receptions last season. It's not like he's a scrub and he's just filling in because your offense is weak. He was one of the main reasons why that offense at times looked okay. All right, so it's back to me at the 12th round. I have 5 running backs, 4 wide receivers, so I'm probably going to take another receiver here. I'm going to go with someone. Actually, no, I lied. Totally lied. I'm going to go another running back. You can't have enough of them.
You can't.
If you wait until the 3rd, 4th round to select a running back, you are going to hurt all season unless you find an undrafted rookie like James Robinson from last year. It's just so hard to recover unless you make some trades. Running backs are so key, especially in PPR leagues. So I'm going to go Gus Edwards here. He's a decent value pick. He's played 3 seasons, and in each of his 3 seasons, he's top 700 rushing yards. Baltimore is a run-heavy team, and if J.K. Dobbins were to miss any games, he would be a locked-in starter. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's my current pick, and I'm kind of hurt because the pick before me got Henry Ruggs, and I think Henry Ruggs is going to have, in a PPR format, he's going to have a great season, off the simple fact that John Gruden loves gadget guys.
Yeah,
I'm high on Kenyon Drake for the same reason. Out of the backfield, swing passes, bubble screens with that 4.3 speed. We didn't get a chance to see it last year, and it was hard because he didn't really have a training camp. This year he has a training camp, a full go, and he's been looking like the fastest guy on the field. So that's a good value pick right here. But because I have to make a pick, I'm going to go another receiver. I'm going Devonta Parker from the Dolphins.
I like it.
He's going to be the Dolphins' number 1 receiver. Tua's going to be throwing him a ball a lot. So quietly, he's a 1,000-yard receiver. He just has to stay healthy. So Devonta Parker.
You think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for Miami?
Between him and Jalen Waddell. Will Fuller, I can never trust Will Fuller because, again, health. And then he's suspended, right? The first 2 games. Is he suspended or did he serve suspension already? One game. Yeah. So his health, and I think Jalen Waddell, theoretically, especially.
Is that how you say his name? Or is it Waddle? Waddell?
Waddle. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways.
Jalen Penguin? We'll call him that. We can't mess that one up.
Waddle. But,
to me, I don't know who's going to be the wide receiver 1. I can't say for sure one of them is. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Parker is. I wouldn't be surprised if Waddle was. I wouldn't be surprised if Fuller was. That's just how I feel. And a lot of it, predicates on whether or not Tua is going to take a step up this season because they also have Mckissick. And
so this guy has balls. Whoever just picked in front of me, he picked Deshaun Watson. That's a ballsy pick right there. I don't know what you're expecting, but hey, look, more power to you. So again, I'm in the position right now where I'm just looking for steals anywhere that I could possibly find a steal. Best player available, this, that, and the third. I can go running back. I can go wide receiver. I can go tight end.
I see a running back that I would probably pick if I was you.
I'm going to let you pick him because I think I know who you're talking about. But in this situation, I think I'm going to go wide receiver. And this guy, he showed off yesterday. And I'm kind of feeling him.
Yes.
Marquise Callaway. Somebody has to be the number 1 target and take Michael Thomas's target share. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Troutman? The way that he played yesterday,
all the talk was, maybe Traquan Smith, he's hurt. Adam Troutman, he gets carted off the field.
Right.
Callaway goes in there and he produces 100+ yards and 2 touchdowns and essentially 1/2 of football. So that was impressive. Maybe he is the guy. That's not a bad choice, especially with your 13th round pick. If he doesn't work out, you can drop him. It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
All right. So I'm in the same position. I'm just I thought you were going to go Philip Lindsay, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, because there's
It was
talks.
either him or Gainwell. It was either him or Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, there's talks that he could take over the running back one spot for Houston. Apparently, David Johnson's going to go into that third down role. Lindsay was named co-starter with Mark Ingram. So, I mean, you could hit if you get Lindsay, and especially this late in the draft. I mean, you never know. But I have the next pick here at the end of the 13th round. I'm going to go a wide receiver who has an opportunity to serve as his team's wide receiver one, Nelson Aguilar for New England. I don't really love the player necessarily. You might. I mean, he balled out last year for your Raiders. No, you don't like him?
No.
I don't know. I mean, like the wide receiver situation in New England is iffy. You know, Jacoby Myers has been talked about. They brought in Kendrick Bourne, but they paid Aguilar to kind of be that wide receiver one for them. And like we said, like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's the 13th round pick. So now we're in the last two rounds. So I'm going to go, I'm going to go with defense first over a kicker. Okay. And I'm going to go with the defense that was pretty dominant throughout the entire last season in the Indianapolis Colts. Bringing in a guy like DeForest Buckner really changed that team. And then, Xavier Rhodes on the outside at one of the corner spots. This team generated a lot of takeaways. They were stout. They didn't allow a lot of points per game. They didn't really get embarrassed a lot besides when Buckner missed the game against Tennessee and Derrick Henry just went off entirely. So Colts defense locked and loaded for my team.
All right. So I'm going to go kicker because kickers are people too. I'm going to go Matthew Prater here. I never thought in my life I would give an explanation why I would pick a kicker, but since we're on a fantasy football show, I might. So the Cardinals are going to be a very dynamic offense this year. I have that feeling. They're going to be in a position. They're a dome kicker. Matthew Prater has been a dome kicker most of his career. Mm-hmm. And at this position, when an offense that can score a lot, like the Arizona Cardinals do, Matthew Prater's not a bad pick. So I'm going to go Matthew Prater.
Nice. And then we're waiting on Clayton here with the last two picks. So we went Broncos defense. Russell Gage was taken off the board. Latavius Murray, Chuba Hubbard. And then Clayton, for some reason, picked his favorite player of all time, Tim Tebow, even though he's not on a roster.
Oh, my God. You're lucky this is my draft. So I have a question for you. So I'm at the point of my draft where I'm going to pick a defense, and in all my I'm the person that picks defenses last every time. Why is the Bears defense rated so low?
Because our offense sucks. We didn't generate a lot of takeaways last season. We lost a guy in Kyle Fuller who was one of our best, takeaway guy. If your offense goes 3 and out, which it does all the time for the Bears, your defense is going to get worn out. They're not going to generate a lot of takeaways, and they really didn't last year. Even though the defense was stout, they didn't produce, fantasy numbers. So that's why no one's really high on them, and I'm not really either.
But does that change this year, thinking that you have a better quarterback or a better situation around your offense?
I don't know if we have a better situation yet.
You don't know?
Justin Fields is the future. Nagy keeps reiterating that he wants Andy Dalton. Dalton, I've watched him throughout the preseason so far. He's running through the motions. It looks like every quarterback for the Bears in the past forever, really.
But wasn't it like not last year, but the year before, the Bears weren't they like the number one fantasy defense? Like,
yeah, when we had Vic Fangio before he took over the head coaching spot. So the guy that's taken over as a defensive coordinator was pretty much his sidekick.
Isn't it Pagano?
No, Pagano retired.
Oh, okay.
It's Sean Desai, who was the safeties coach, and I guess he's going to go back to the way Vic Fangio kind of ran things. Because I'm a Bears fan, and
just
because I'm going Robbie Gould for my kicker.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that was a swerve. That's like Clayton picking Tim Tebow. That's a swerve.
San Francisco. they kick a lot of field goals. Robbie Gould, one of my favorite kickers of all time because he's won so many games for us. So, and that's the end of the fantasy mock draft. Taran, if you want to just go through your team real quick.
For sure. Okay, so recap. So number 1, I went Nick Chubb. Number 2, I went Najee Harris. In the 3rd round, I went Darren Waller. In the 4th round, I went Cooper Kupp. In the 5th round, I went Justin Herbert. In the 6th round, I went Devonte Smith. In the 7th round, I went Trey Sermon. In the 8th round, I went Laviska Shenault. 9th round, I went Logan Thomas. In the 10th round, I went Baker Mayfield. In the 11th round, I went Nyheim Hines. In the 12th round, I went Devonta Parker. In the 13th round, I went Marquise Callaway. In the 14th round, I went Matt Prater. And I picked the Miami Dolphins defense in the 15th round. You want to go Clayton?
Yeah. You can go over Clayton's.
Okay, so Death and Taxes. If y'all don't know who that is, that's Christian McCaffrey, a.k.a. Derry Sanders. I'll let him do all the AKAs when he joins us live next Tuesday. Spoiler alert. No. Number 2, he went George Kittle. In the 3rd round, he went Keenan Allen, which is underrated guy.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Number 4, James Robinson. Number 5, Robert Woods, another underrated wide receiver. Mike Davis, I want to have a conversation about him. Chase Claypool, Devin Singletary. He went Tyler Boyd, Trey Lance, Matt Ryan, Marvin Jones, Jonnu Smith. Wow, he went 13th round. That's cool. Denver Broncos defense and Tim Tebow.
Did he even draft a kicker? No, he didn't. So he's
Tim
Tebow's
going to be his kicker. I don't know if you got
Tebow's his kicker. His quarterback is tight end. His
priest, all that.
Yeah. All right. So with my team, I'm not going to go in order of how I picked them. I'm just going to go through my roster. Tannehill is my QB1. At the running back positions, I have Austin Eckler, David Montgomery. Behind them, Myles Gaskin, Zach Moss, J.D. McKissick, and Gus Edwards. And then at wide receiver, I have Devonte Adams, Chris Godwin, Robbie Anderson, Corey Davis, Nelson Aguilar. And then my tight end is Noah Fant. And my kicker is Robbie Gould, and my defense is the Indianapolis Colts. So what I like doing is I like drafting one quarterback. I like drafting one tight end. There's always someone that you can stream later on. There's always players that get dropped early on, and then you can later pick up and stream. That's just kind of how I feel about the quarterback and the tight end position. Like we were talking about earlier, Derek Carr, I don't think he got drafted. So he's a guy that I could pick up later on at some point. And then tight ends go. I mean, we
I always go high on tight end because there's the core guys. There's tier 1. There's the Darren Wallers, the Travis Kelce's, George Kittles, and then the tier 2s. I'm very high on T.J. Hawkinson this year because who the hell is catching passes for the Lions? No offense, Walt, but who do you guys have?
Right.
Like Bashard Perriman and Tyrell Williams, and I don't
Quintez Cephas and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I can't name any other besides them, right? DeAndre Swift is going to have a big year, and TJ Hawkinson. So it's like I'm very big on him. Kyle Pitts is a guy that I see go high in a lot of drafts, the rookie. Which I'm not mad at. He's going to be a machine. I feel like I've been getting a lot of Darren Waller comparisons with him, which I can see. You got rid of Julio Jones, so that might be your red zone threat, and in a PPR format, he's going to do a lot because he can do a lot. So, it's those type of guys. I was really shocked that he got Jonnu Smith where he got Jonnu Smith, Clayton.
Yeah, especially with Henry's injury. I mean, he could start out the season strong, and then we could just never see Hunter Henry after that as the team's tight end 1. And he's a huge body, and he hauled in a ton of touchdowns last year. The yards weren't there, but the touchdowns were, and that's what matters. I mean, if you get
you think about where he went, Patriots. Bill Belichick loves tight ends, right? And Cam Newton loves throwing the tight ends. Greg Olsen, all those years with Carolina. So I think that there's value there. Like there's a lot of value with Jonnu Smith. There's a lot of value with Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry's like injury concerns, How do you feel about Troutman, by the way? You said he got hurt, right?
Yeah, he got carted off. Apparently the injury was a lower leg injury, but it wasn't as serious as they thought it was going to be. So his timetable is uncertain. He will be back. He didn't I mean, he avoided a serious injury. Is pretty much what's all been said so far.
Okay.
I mean, he's a guy that you can get later on and could, he could finish as a tight end 12 because there aren't a lot of great tight ends in the fantasy world. And like we keep saying, Michael Thomas is out. Callaway could be the guy. Smith could be the guy. Maybe no one's the guy, and they all, they all have a role on the team. So Trotman is a guy that, low risk, high ceiling. If he doesn't work out, you can drop him. So not a big deal.
Absolutely.
You said you wanted to have a conversation about Mike Davis. What's your thoughts on him?
Okay, so Mike Davis. I've been telling friends who have been drafting running backs. Mm-hmm. Mike Davis is a guy that intrigues me because Arthur Smith is obviously the coach, Tennessee Titans guy. We know he loves to run the football. Mm-hmm. Mike Davis is a guy that can do multiple things. He's filled in for Christian McCaffrey last year, and he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run the ball. But what's behind him? That's what I'm saying. So do you draft a backup Falcons running back just in case?
2 undrafted rookie running backs or who is behind him.
So do you think that he's going to be a high volume guy, or do you think that
he is, unless okay, so what I thought initially was they were going to draft someone. Then they don't. And it's like, okay, Mike Davis is still the guy. And then it's like, well, they're going to bring in a veteran, maybe bring back Devonta Freeman just to, split the carries, have Davis be the pass catcher out of the backfield, not be the sole running back one for their team. And then what happens is nothing. They add some undrafted rookies. There's no one behind him, like you said. And Mike Davis showed last year when he filled in for McCaffrey that he can be a team's, running back one. He can be the every down back. He can be the PPR type running back that you want to target. And I think a late 6th round, early 7th round spot is really good value for him.
Yeah, no. See, it's like for me, I'm high on him. I'm very, very high on him. Mm-hmm. And I was in a situation the other day in my draft where I had to pick between him and Damian Harris. And I really couldn't, figure that out because I like them both. And Javonte Williams from the Broncos. Mm-hmm. I ended up picking Javonte Williams. And then later on, Mike Davis was gone, and then I got Harris on the flip.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that worked out for you then.
So it worked out, but I don't know if I'm wrong to like Mike Davis or should I?
You're not wrong.
It's like I don't know.
You're not wrong, and I think the team will eventually, later on in the season, probably push him out a little bit because he's not the future. But neither's Matt Ryan, so I don't know. Maybe they go in a year where they just run the wheels off Mike Davis to pretty much end his career because he's older. He's 27, 28.
He was a Bears running back, right? Like
he was a Bear. He was a Seahawk.
He's a journey guy. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how I should feel about him because I don't know if the Carolina Panthers last year, that's just how they use running backs. Right. So in certain systems, guys are just good in certain systems. And then when they go and get high money, like I remember the Raiders had a guy, I can't think of his name, but they had a running back. He went to the Giants and did absolutely nothing with the Giants. And then I'm just like, see, like certain systems just fit certain players. And you might never hear from him again. So I don't know if Mike Davis is in that field of we're just never going to hear from him again. So that's where I was I
almost said Devontae Booker, but
Rashad Jennings.
Who?
Rashad Jennings. Rashad Jennings, he was the Raiders running back a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he had like 3 straight 100-yard games. He damn near ran for 1,000 yards. And then he went to the Giants as a big money free agent, and he was drafted high in a lot of fantasy drafts and did absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. So you see that all the time, though, with backup running backs, who go high and then they go to other teams and then they don't do it. Le'Veon Bell. Like, there's a lot of guys that I can sit there and think of off the top of my head that, like, so I don't know if he's the next up and coming of that, or I don't know what I'm getting with him. So that's where I'm like, how high is he going too high? Is he going too low? Like, how should I? Because then I look at his depth chart.
I think he's going just right. I think he's going just right because you're not going to be, fully confident in him as a 3rd or 4th rounder, and it'd be crazy to see a guy with his opportunity going, past the 7th. So I think he's in the right spot. Honestly, you brought up Javonte. When do you think Denver's going to transition into Javonte Williams being the running back one?
Early, I think early because Gordon has been dealing with calf strains and groin strains a lot.
Always, right?
Always. So it's
we call those camp strings, by the way, camp strings.
Yeah. So he's not there yet 100%. And we know the Broncos want to run the football. And I feel like I predict that he's going to have 1,000 all-purpose yards. Not
Not
you know,
rushing,
1,000
all
rushing
purpose.
yards, but all-purpose yards. I think
Yeah.
that they're going to use him a lot like they use Philip Lindsay, and he may be Philip Lindsay. Like you remember Philip Lindsay as a rookie had 1,000 yards.
Mhm.
So I feel like he's in that territory of that. You know, I love Javonte Williams. I love all the rookie running backs, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, there was a guy that I seen go in the last round. Kenneth Gainwell was a guy I got my eye on too. I'm not drafting him, but he's a guy that I would look at and be like, he could be James Robinson. How James Robinson jumped out of nowhere last year.
Yeah,
Kenneth Gainwell.
And you know, scouts have said that Kenneth Gainwell is the best pass catching running back, you know, coming into the league right now. Over Travis Etienne is what I've been hearing. The only thing that scares me with him is, you know, Miles Sanders still there. They brought in that running back that played for the Lions for a couple of years, Kerryon Johnson.
They dropped him. He got waived.
Oh, did he get waived? Well, they still have Boston Scott, who
was Boston Scott.
And he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. If Scott wasn't on that team, I'd be higher on Gainwell. But like we keep saying, you could take a chance on Gainwell in the later, you know, parts of the draft. Wait a couple weeks, not do anything, get rid of him. You can pick him up later when he is doing something. Going back to Javonte real quick, I agree that he's going to take over this season as the running back one, and maybe that is because Gordon has some injuries. What I would do, though, if I was Denver, you're paying Melvin Gordon one more year, top dollar, not highest paid, but, you know, one of the highest paid running backs in the league. And then after this season, he's gone. I mean, you might as well run the legs off that guy. You know, like he had a pretty good season last year. You don't need to rush Javonte in. You're not, you know, a team that's necessarily going to win the Super Bowl, even fight for a Super Bowl chance. And then let's say you get an Aaron Rodgers next year, then Javonte comes into that lead role. You know, I would run the living daylights out of Melvin Gordon until he gets hurt or until the end of the year. Obviously work Javonte in to get him used to that NFL speed, but I wouldn't just solely give him the reins right away is what I would do.
Right. Yeah, no. And they're a team, you know, when it comes to two running back systems, right? They always just usually ride the hot hand anyway. They always do. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's been weeks where Philip Lindsay went the hell off, and then the next week he's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden you may see, you know, the kid they got from Oregon go off, and then they don't use the kid from Oregon, and then they've always been that kind of team that's been like really wishy-washy on how to use running backs. And I think they're putting that position this year. But you're not, again, like I'm at that mindset that you're not going to draft a running back that high tonight if you don't have no plan for him at all. You know, so I'm really high on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are there any other players that you're targeting as far as like maybe they're not even great value? They're just a my guy, you know, a guy that you have a heart for, that you personally believe in. I mean, it could be a Raider. It could be anyone. Just someone that you love targeting maybe in the later rounds, or maybe you love his ADP.
I'm very high on Trey Sermon. Very high on Trey Sermon for the simple fact, like I said, he's a Mike Shanahan / Kyle Shanahan running back. You look at over the years, Alfred Morris, like I can Raheem Mostert, Tevin Cole, like I could keep going, you know, like years back, Clinton Portis, like all that train keeps rolling. And
Carlos
Trey Sermon, right. So Trey Sermon is the type of person that's coming into the NFL hot. You know, he's coming off them big, you know, championship games at Ohio State. If it wasn't for those games, I don't know if he would have been drafted. But because of what he showed in those games, that was enough for Kyle Shanahan to say that's my guy. Mm-hmm. And we know how he is with undrafted running backs. He's an amazing. He's like a finder of these undrafted guys, right? So this is what he can mold into his offense. And I'm very high, and I'm not 100% sure of what Raheem Mostert's going to be. He's never healthy, you know. And then you look behind him, you know, you got Jeff Wilson, and we've even seen Jeff Wilson come in. Right, we've even seen Jeff Wilson come in and score 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game. We've seen it before.
It doesn't matter who the running back is;
he gets it done.
Yeah. Shanahan's going to find a way to make that guy look like a star that week.
Right. I love him for those reasons and those reasons. If you have a bye week coming up and you need to slide in a guy, that's going to be, if he's available, that's a guy I'm just going to slide in there just to see what he does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me is just, I mean, you kind of already talked about it, are the other running backs on the team, Mostert, Gallman, Jeff Wilson. There's a lot of bodies. There's a lot of good running backs on that team. I don't even know if those running backs would be good if they're on any other team in any other scheme. But I do agree. I think at some point Sermon is going to take over as that lead back. There's probably someone else is going to be involved. Mostert might still be involved. He's a good player. He hasn't. It's not like he's received a ton of carries throughout his career. He served most of it as a backup or even someone that was on the practice squad or fighting for a roster spot until we saw him break out 2 postseasons ago. But he's not the future. He's going to be a free agent after this season, and you might as well utilize the rookie in Trey Sermon.
Who's your guy? Who do you like?
The guy that I love the most, according to his ADP, is Tom Brady. And I'm not a Tom Brady fan, and I don't think he's the best, fantasy quarterback, but there's no denying that he is relevant in fantasy. He finishes the quarterback 5 last year, and I consistently see him go in the late 8th round, early 9th round. And to find a guy that finished top 5 amongst all quarterbacks in fantasy last year with all the talent surrounding him in that offense, I'm baffled that he's always, falling that far into drafts, and I consistently draft him in the 8th and 9th round because I just love that ADP. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire. He might not even finish top 5 again, but if I can get a quarterback that late, I'm happy.
I'm in the same philosophy as you. Me and Clayton just had this conversation earlier. Like, we're in our draft. How I got Christian McCaffrey 4th is beyond me because it's like a lot of people tend to want to draft quarterbacks so high, and it's like there's still going to be value later on. I'm going to continue to mention Derek Carr never gets drafted. Baker Mayfield sometimes never gets drafted. So it's like these are starting level quarterbacks that can get you 18 to 20 points per game. If you have 18 to 20 points per game from your starting quarterback with an average that with other great running backs and wide receivers and balance your team out, that's a solid week for you. It really is. So it's any starting quarterback. I'm not high on Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins, he's the type of quarterback that can get you with 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like it's highly possible. Both of his wide receivers are high fantasy football players. Yeah. Like Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They go high. Irv Smith has been going high. Yeah. Cook. So he's a guy who's throwing him the ball. So he's getting him the ball. So there's weeks where what happens if, the Minnesota Vikings play a very bad defense? I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm saying, like, quarterbacks can be had, like they really can, and the fact that Brady goes in the 8th round, it's like you don't have to rush to get a Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to rush to get a Lamar Jackson.
And I love Patrick Mahomes, but I'm not drafting him in the 2nd round. There's just no way.
No, absolutely not. I'm not either. I'm going to draft Travis Kelce, before him. I'm drafting Travis Kelce before him.
Tyreek Hill before him.
Right.
And it's crazy to see that those guys sometimes fall behind him in some drafts. Right. Okay, well, we have been going for almost an hour now, so we are going to see everyone next Tuesday. Hopefully Clayton Holford is available for us. We are the Fantasy GMs. We're going to be on every Tuesday around the same time. And next week is the week before the regular season, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So all drafts are going to be done. We're going to talk, a lot about fantasy players, fantasy options, and maybe even do some start 'em, sit 'em for week 1. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you, Taryn, for joining.
No problem. Have a good one.